Hey Cloud Gamers, NBA 2K21 has landed on xCloud, and as we have access to the xCloud test streaming app on PC, we thought we'd have a look at Stadia versus xCloud at 1080p. Those of you that are familiar with the channel will be able to tell the difference here quite quickly, but can you tell which is the Stadia version and which is xCloud here? The difference is actually quite obvious when you look at the characters in the foreground, especially when we go to this full courts. That Stadia has the higher quality here on the left hand side with xCloud on the right. Now what I found quite interesting about this game is, although there was quite a quality difference, the rest of the game is very close. We get this really weird dynamic frame rate effect where we get 60 frames per second moving around, but as soon as we go to some of the pan shots we hit the floor at 30 frames per second. As we switch to Stadia here, I had some real trouble with the control setup here. I think it may have had the Pro Shot set up by accident, but I really just could not hit the shots here on Stadia. Even when I seemed to get it in the right spot, we still seem to miss. So I'm not quite sure whether there was a bit of input lag here or not. I was using a wired Xbox Series X controller on my PC for all of these tests. And again we saw as they shot there a bit of that frame rate drop, and again as we pan across the court we get this kind of stutter effect, and then the frame rate returns back to 60. So there is a lot of frame rate changes going on, and there you go, you see that stutter again, and even though that shot looked perfect it still missed. So lots of back and forth action. We can definitely see the quality is a lot higher on the Stadia version. As we switch over to the xCloud streaming version on the PC, so this is the 1080 stream, although it doesn't look quite as good as it does on my screen. Again we see that a bit of a stutter effect as we go across the court. There was still a bit of input lag trying to get those shots, but I was able to make a lot more of those baskets, and I'm not quite sure what's going on, but there definitely was a delay in both Stadia and xCloud when taking these shots. It just was a little bit easier to get used to on xCloud for some reason, even though I played the xCloud version first. You can definitely see that quality drop though. Stadia looking much more clean, especially across the courts, but on a smaller screen you're not going to notice too much difference. As we come back side by side we can see those quality differences much more obvious, but we can see that Stadia seems to suffer from these massive frame drops every now and then. This is obviously built into the game for frame rate pacing or some other issue, as it was also present on the xCloud side, but it just seemed with this quality a lot more obvious on the Stadia side and constantly looked like it was just stuttering. Let us know in the comments below what you think of these two and whether you will be using xCloud moving forwards. Obviously NBA 2K21 is included in your subscription for Game Pass Ultimate, or even just Game Pass now, but if you do want to play it in the cloud you will need that Game Pass Ultimate subscription. Stadia you could just purchase the game and play on the free tier, or you can pay for Pro to get that 4K resolution. As we have a look at some of the other modes then, multiplayer was one of the bigger issues for me on Stadia. This triple threat mode took around 2 minutes, so it still wasn't quick to get a match on xCloud. However, after nearly 6 minutes of waiting on Stadia, I gave up, which is unfortunate because this is a really colourful court and really would shine on the Stadia side on the quality. And again we see as he takes that shot, a bit of that frame rate issue. And then we also have the Neighbourhood. Although I was still expecting a lot more people here on the xCloud side, we can see that at this time, and this was done around half an hour apart, that the xCloud version has a lot more players in the park. Even though this is now on Game Pass, I would have expected to see a lot more players here. But with the amount of modes that there are in NBA 2K21, you can imagine that there's going to be a lot more people either in the My Team or in the triple threat areas, as that has also got some cash prizes. So I'm not surprised to see the Neighbourhood fairly empty, but we can definitely see that there is still quite a difference between the Neighbourhood on Stadia and the Neighbourhood on xCloud. Let us know in the comments below what you think of these two systems and whether you're going to be using xCloud in future. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, stay up to date with all things cloud gaming, and we will see you next time.